Should the U.S. be part of international organizations like NATO or the UN? Why or why not?
Right. One of the biggest mistakes we made after the Cold War ended was we didn't disband NATO. NATO's job was to defend ourselves against the Soviet Union. Once the Soviet Union went away, why didn't NATO go away? It should have immediately. All it did was make the Russians distrust us even more. We have problems now with them because they're saying, why do you want NATO? Why do you keep pushing it? It was worthless. George Washington told us, the first president, stay out of foreign entanglements, stay out. Absolutely. NATO, disband, get out, let them do what they want. If the EU wants to keep NATO, good for the EU. We are not part of the EU. If the UN, oh, please go ahead. Absolutely. If the UN would be a completely non-enforcing, just collaborative agency, maybe. Otherwise, no UN.
All right, over to Mr. Weld.
So I do think there's an issue of mission creep with NATO, looking for new things to do, and a possibility of having outlived the original charter. So I think that's a legit topic to consider. Getting out of the UN, I've spent so much time in foreign countries in the last 10 years. I'm on an international foreign heads of state group that meets once a year to talk about issues such as water, food, nuclear war, religious sectarianism, and I hear about problems all over the world. And I go to other countries, mostly third world countries, with my business hat on, and I see all this suffering, and it's caused by governments. So I would stay in the UN to try to reach those problems of the citizenry by putting the heat on the governments.
All right. Over to Ms. Dern.
Treaties and associations with foreign countries is a good thing. We should, in fact, trade with other countries, and we should have friendly relationships and diplomatic relationships with other countries. That is how we stay in peace and not in war. The problem is we have become the world's policemen, and treaties are used as a justification for us warring on behalf of our treaty neighbors. So, mission creep, I think, is a mild way of putting it. We need to revisit all of those treaties and determine whether or not we can use them in a peaceable way or whether we're just being used as the world's bully for our allies.
Great. Over to Mr. Coley.
Should the United States be part of NATO and the UN? Short answer, hell no. Plain and simple, no. We should not be part of the UN. We should not be part of NATO. It's not our business. It has nothing to do with us. We shouldn't be overseas trying to buy off politicians, trying to buy off governments, trying to use NATO. It's a hammer. That's the way that it works. If you have a hammer, you're going to try to find a way to use it. That's the way reality is. That's simple. It's simple logic. I have a hammer. I need to find a nail. That's what the UN is. It's a giant hammer looking for something to smash. And I would have to argue that you can't put pressure on governments overseas through the collectively enforce what their directives are. So no, you can't use the UN to put the pressure on those governments, particularly when our government is funding and arming them.
Ask a Libertarian Facebook fan page is spreading awareness of libertarianism and informing non-libertarians while empowering those who support liberty on a daily basis. This is your opportunity to be empowered, and let us advocate libertarianism for you at facebook.com/askalibertarian.